In the world of cryptocurrency, Terra Luna was a rising star. A project promising stability and utility for investors. But behind the glossy facade of the blockchain project lay a web of controversy, deceit, and a single figure at the center of it all. Do Kwon. In this video, we'll uncover the dramatic story behind Terra Luna and its enigmatic founder, Do Kwon. Get ready to find out how Do Kwon went from being a respected billionaire to a man on the run. Before understanding what caused the destruction of the largest algorithmic stablecoin, let's see how it all began. Do Kwon was born in Seoul, South Korea in 1951. He is the son of a distributor of pharmaceutical and medical equipment. Since he was young, he has traveled the world alongside his father. As a teenager, he particularly enjoyed reading and was confident and greatly admired the visionaries of Silicon Valley, whom he took as examples. Young Do Kwon was ambitious and sought recognition. At 19, Do Kwon left South Korea to start his studies at Stanford University. In 2015, he graduated in computer science and began working at Microsoft. But Do Kwon dreamed of creating something big. He could not be content with a small life as a developer in a large company. He quit his job and decided to return to South Korea to develop and found his first startup. The project was to provide bandwidth to those who did not have access to the internet through a peer-to-peer network. It was while experimenting with this distributed network that he began to learn about cryptocurrency. Unfortunately, his first company would eventually fail when investors decided to withdraw from the project. But as you can imagine, this is not a setback that will discourage this young man determined to make a name for himself among the greatest in technology. Thanks to his first experience, Do Kwon had stumbled upon something big that would change his life. He now understood the potential of blockchain as well as cryptocurrency and decided to get involved in it as early as 2017. At that time, Do Kwon reunited with Nicholas Platias, a friend from university. They lived together in Airbnbs in search of a new project that could allow them to be recognized. It was while doing research that he discovered a new algorithmic stablecoin project called Basecoin, renamed Basis. This project attracted $133 million in funding from major crypto investors, but was eventually halted due to regulatory risks with the SEC. Do Kwon finally realized that stablecoins would become strategic in the finance of the future. He decided to write the first white paper for a decentralized payment system. The idea was to have a new stablecoin and decentralized currency, indexed to the dollar, that could be used by anyone, anywhere. At that time, all decentralized stablecoins like the one Do Kwon imagined had either failed or abandoned the project midway. Even the giant Facebook failed to launch its stablecoin with all the financial resources and influence of the company. So the risks were significant, and Do Kwon was aware of it. But his thirst for success was even greater. He decided to launch the project anyway and quickly assembled a team. They took over the Basis code and decided to revive the project, despite the risks that pushed the founder to abandon the project. To avoid problems, he decided to remain anonymous. Basis was resurrected and renamed Basis.cash for the occasion. The project based in Korea was seen as a way to test concepts without falling into the traps of US regulation. But this project ultimately never worked and did not reach $1. For Do Kwon, it was only a failed experiment for something much bigger he was preparing. In 2018, Do Kwon met Daniel Ching, a successful entrepreneur recognized in South Korea. He shared with him his idea of creating a truly decentralized stable coin. Daniel Ching was impressed by the project, and the two entrepreneurs decided to join forces to create what would become Terra Luna. In January 2018, Do Kwon and Daniel Ching launched Terra with the ambition to integrate it with Chime, an e-commerce payment software, and a stable cryptocurrency to facilitate transactions using major fiat cryptocurrencies. The project was supported by Terra Alliance, a group of 15 Asian e-commerce companies. They began raising funds in early 2019 to finance the project. In April 2019, Do Kwon published the white paper titled Terra Money. The following year, the Terra blockchain stablecoin UST was publicly revealed on September 21, 2020. With the intention of deploying it on Ethereum and Solana, UST was launched alongside two other applications designed to bring greater stability and utility to the algorithmic stablecoin. The first, the Anchor Protocol, allowed investors to earn high and stable yields by locking up their capital. And the second, Mirror, replicated US stocks. In addition to its blockchain and decentralized applications, Terra extends its stablecoin in South Korea with payment systems like Chai or Memepoint. However, all of this was not enough to convince investors to buy Luna and hold UST. For the project to succeed, it was necessary to make it stand out and share an important and exciting idea with potential investors. Towards the end of 2021, everything started to speed up. During a conference in New York, Do Kwon was approached by a process server who handed him a subpoena from the SEC, requesting that Do Kwon testify before US regulators over concerns that Mirror may be in violation of federal securities laws. Do Kwon wasn't too worried and decided to fight back by challenging the legitimacy of the request. At the same time, concerns on Twitter were intensifying, but Do Kwon denied the risks of UST losing parity with the dollar. Instead of locking up cryptocurrencies to obtain DAI, the first decentralized stablecoin, Do Kwon came up with the idea of replacing everything with an algorithm that balances supply and demand to maintain price stability. In theory, this would achieve good capital efficiency while being decentralized. That's why he created two tokens. The first, UST, was indexed to $1, and Luna, the token that absorbs value. But what's wrong with this system? Many critics argue that the algorithmic system creates value out of nothing. It can only survive as long as there is trust in its algorithm and the value of the risk-absorbing token is strong enough to manage supply and demand. When UST falls below its anchor, there is a huge incentive for traders to come in and buy those UST and burn them for the equivalent in Luna. However, to cash in on this arbitrage income, you must instantly sell your Luna on the market. During a bull market, this process is not a problem because there is a lot of speculative demand for the Luna token. But that changes in a bear market. There are no longer as many investors to support the price of Luna, and massive sales to balance UST can lead to what we call a death spiral. During the presentation of the Terra Money Protocol on February 22, 2019, a user already expressed their concerns in the comments. They said, "I think it will explode if the system undergoes a shock, and many people want to sell UST. The protocol will have to rely on big buyers of Luna, otherwise the price of Luna will drop. Indeed, UST will lose its peg and will also collapse. Every Luna holder would be incentivized to sell as quickly as possible. If this happens once, clients will lose confidence, then everyone will cover as fast as they can to sell, and some will call it a Ponzi." Nevertheless, anyone who dared to criticize the greatest invention of the lunatic dictator was treated as poor or backward. In late November, one person on Twitter made a complete tweet explaining how an entity with about $1 billion could attack UST and make a considerable profit, in the same way that George Soros did with the Bank of England. Faced with growing investor concerns about the sustainability of the protocol, Do Kwon had to take action, and he had a choice between reviewing the UST and Luna models or debunking the criticism and fears with real arguments, raising as much money as possible to reassure investors, staying in denial and sweeping risks under the rug. In January, he announced the launch of the LFG, Luna Foundation Guard, an independent organization created to build reserves supporting the UST peg in volatile market conditions. He then raised $1 billion by selling Luna tokens to large investment funds to buy Bitcoin. The ultimate goal is to have $10 billion worth of Bitcoin to support UST if the price were to fall below $1. March 2022 was a classic for crypto Twitter. Here's a brief summary of notable tweets. To start, a trader named Algod promised to open a large short position on Luna if it hits a new all-time high. Do Kwon replied kindly, "Yeah, but your size is not size." In other words, the positions are not large positions. A week later, Algod proposed a $1 million bet that the Luna token will be priced below $0.8 within a year. Do Kwon naturally took the bet. Another guy on Twitter named GCR also proposed a bet and raised the stakes to $10 million. Both parties sent $10 million in stablecoin to an escrow account to confirm the bet. After making some bets, Do Kwon went back to his usual activities, attacking the competition. On March 23rd, he tweeted, "By my hand, die will die," meaning Luna Foundation's reserves continued to increase, reaching 40,000 bitcoins with a net worth of $1.6 billion. On April 5th, The price of the Luna token had reached a new record of $115. At this point, our dear charismatic dictator Do Kwon became a billionaire.
Alright guys, now I feel like the big connect, guys.
A few weeks later, UST became the third largest stablecoin. On May 3, 2022, LFG's reserves reached $4 billion with over 80,000 bitcoins, tons of Luna, and $50 million in other stablecoins. Luna and UST were now invincible. The long-awaited moment had arrived. UST became one of the largest decentralized stablecoins, surpassing DAI. At that moment, Do Kwon was right and all his detractors were wrong. But this victory was short-lived. In the evening, about 195 million UST were traded by two addresses for USDC. The UST liquidity pool against other stablecoins suddenly became unbalanced. Terraform Labs withdrew 250 million UST to try to rebalance the pool so that 1 UST would return to $1 against other stable coins. These balancing attempts also made the pool less liquid and more vulnerable. Thanks to the wormhole bridge used by the whale to send Terra assets to Ethereum, we were able to trace these two addresses and follow the trail from the massive sale of millions of UST. 108 million UST were withdrawn and sent in a single day. These massive sales led to a depeg of -2% on most exchanges. Earlier in the evening of May 7th, large withdrawals began on exchanges. The next day, Do Kwon reacted to the situation with his usual arrogance. Shortly thereafter, he tried to reassure investors, but in the meantime, large wallets had already withdrawn more than $3 billion from Anchor. As investors sold their UST, the liquidity pool continued to become heavily unbalanced. Everyone was worried that the Luna Foundation Guard would be forced to sell its Bitcoin reserves to defend the UST peg. Everything seemed under control for Do Kwon, who claimed that the peg would be recovered without needing to sell the Bitcoin reserves. However, everything seemed to be getting worse for UST, which dropped to $0.65 at the same time as Luna, with a 44% drop in less than 24 hours. Bitcoin, on the other hand, lost 11% in the same day. The vicious cycle had begun. The Luna Foundation Guard reacted and committed to lending $750 million worth of BTC to the market maker to defend the UST peg. However, withdrawals continued on the Anchor protocol with approximately $2 billion more withdrawn from the protocol. Confidence was lost among large investors. On May 9, 2022, at 8:30 p.m., Do Kwon tweeted what has become iconic: "Deploying more capital. Steady, lads." In the evening, the Luna Foundation Guard emptied its reserves to defend the UST peg at all costs. $26 million in USDT, $23 million in USDC, and most importantly, 52,000 bitcoins were exchanged off-market for a total of 1.5 billion UST. The Luna Foundation Guard then sold another 33,000 bitcoins for approximately 1.1 billion UST. All reserves were depleted, and the price rose to around $0.9, but investor confidence was definitely lost. The only solution left for investors to recover $1 per UST was to burn their UST to obtain the equivalent in new Luna, then immediately sell them on the market. The massive burn of UST led to hyperinflation of the Luna token. Investors no longer believed that UST could recover. Everyone was getting rid of their UST as quickly as possible. As a result, a huge amount of Luna was created to compensate for the UST's decline, leading to a massive loss of value for the token designed to absorb UST volatility. With an infinite amount of Luna that could be created, the price was inevitably heading towards zero. And since Luna is a kind of guarantee for the value of UST, if Luna goes to zero, so does UST. When the market capitalization of Luna fell below that of UST, it became clear that not everyone could burn their UST for an equal value in Luna. The price of UST continued to drop, reaching 30 cents. Many traders bet on the decline of Luna, which led to $63 million in liquidation. The price of Luna has dropped to less than 10 cents. The Terra blockchain was officially shut down for the first time after the sudden drop in the price of Luna, threatening the security of the network. UST was officially dead, and it was almost the same for Luna. The next day, Do Kwon proposed a revival plan to create a new blockchain and distribute new tokens to those affected by the crash. On May 16th, he said, "Terra is more than UST. knowing full well that the peg will never be recovered. He is trying to make up for this disaster. But it is obvious that the losses of investors cannot be covered by the creation of a new token. Thousands of people have lost their entire savings in this story. According to South Korean authorities, around 280,000 citizens are victims of the sudden drop in USD. Wanted for violating the capital markets law and committing fraud, an arrest warrant has been issued in South Korea. A few months later, Interpol asked law enforcement around the world to find and arrest Do Kwon. Before his passport could be cancelled, he reportedly fled to Dubai. Some believe he is now in Europe, specifically in Serbia. On Twitter, he invites police officers from around the world to a conference to give them his explanations. On November 8th, Do Kwon made a surprise appearance on Up Only's live stream. He was coincidentally alongside Martin Shkreli, a guy known for big pharmaceutical scandals, who gave him some advice between scammers. He said,
I just wanted to let you know, jail's not that bad. It sucks, but it's not the worst thing ever, so don't fret if that, I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, it's not that bad.
Good to know.
While the promise was a decentralized currency, the reality was quite different. Imagine an unstable narcissist single-handedly managing the direction of one of the largest crypto protocols. However, the failure of UST cannot be excused. A decentralized stablecoin should not have a single point of failure. For UST, it was the lunar token and Do Kwon himself. The truth in Do Kwon's message was that a decentralized economy always needs a decentralized stablecoin, and this is true to this day. But in practice, Do Kwon created a fragile system based entirely on trust, a kind of algorithmic central bank, with the trust being the value of the lunar token and his own immense genius. Is Do Kwon just an incompetent narcissist full of himself, or a real fraudster? Share your opinion with us in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We upload finance documentaries every single week, and hitting that subscribe button is the only way to stay updated. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed.